Good evening, um, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are watching this live update. Welcome to a special briefing of the Executive Mansion and particularly of activities of His Excellency President Joseph Huma Boakai here in the United States of America. As you know, the President week has really been quite busy, and he's been engaging here. And as we speak, we are currently in the Washington, D.C. area in the United States. But before coming to what's happening here, I'd like to give you some rundown on the activities and what has happened. Earlier this week, the President started off with his engagement at the United Nations General Assembly, the official opening, where he spoke at the commemoration of the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Platform for Action, a declaration that was signed by women throughout the world to recognize the roles of women, the roles women play, the challenges that women go through, but also the progress that have been made so far. So the President did speaking about the experiences, what his government has done, and the commitment he intends to do, especially so on the mark of the country's development agenda, which is the agenda for transformation, or it is the agenda for inclusive development. The agenda for transformation was the last agenda, and this one is the agenda for inclusive development. And this is costed at about $8.38 billion. So yes, people were talking about, when the President spoke, and then he mentioned that he's going to support the role of and work of women, particularly the program. He was basically talking about the government's development agenda, that is the agenda, the arrest agenda for inclusive development, that is costed at $8.3 billion. And portion of that will go on social development. And the President was very clear. And a percentage of that will talk about women's rights, issues relating to women. So when he spoke, that relations was in connection to the overall cost of the arrest agenda for inclusive development. Now, coming to speaking at the United Nations General Assembly, the President did speak about the current status of the war, the current status of where we are, and where the country is, what the country is doing, but more so talking about what Liberia has been doing, and also being appreciative of the people who have supported Liberia's bid on the UN Secretary, on the UN Security Council. He did thank all of the key players, but importantly, he talked about what role the war should take, especially so with hostilities in countries, in Gaza, for example, the Palestine issue with Israel, with other, development happening around the world. He was basically talking about materialism, looking forward to connecting, where the world will come together, where Liberia can also play a role, especially as a member of the Security Council. Despite our role as a non-permanent member, however, that is something that he's looking forward to doing. He also talked about aligning with the Common Africa position. That is the position that Africa has taken, Liberia, a key member of the African community, and wanting to be a part of that. Going further, at the United Nations, which, he wants to also let us to inform the public that he's thankful for the Liberians who came, to be there, be in the hall, attend the event, and saw the President speaking. And after he concluded his message, they were all there to thank him for what he's done so far. And there were several other side meetings happening by His Excellency. Prominent amongst them was the meeting with the Crown Prince of Kuwait. Our President had a meeting with the Crown Prince, and that meeting was key because, the Kuwaitis have been a long-standing ally to Liberia. However, during the past administration, there were some challenges as it relates to how that relationship went. But since the president elections, he has really been taking his diplomatic front forward. That means on economic diplomacy, moving forward, re-engaging partners, requesting for more support. They talk about coming back to support Liberia, contributing to our infrastructure project, to the Bong Lofa, road, The Kuwaitis have come back to say they will be able to help us to, do that. The president is thankful for that. They've been doing, a number of different engagement. And this meeting here, he's also had a meeting with the Afro-Asian Bank. They're interested also in supporting Liberia. They were meeting with, several side meetings happening even with Gavi, on the component of health to support our health sector. And New York was quite a busy place. But again, our president is excited. He's upbeat. He's looking forward to showing that all of his engagement, all of those meetings come to a fruition. That is the follow-up, because he's asked his foreign minister that there's a need to ensure that follow-ups are made, strategic follow-ups are made, so Liberia gets to benefit, and gain from those engagements in New York and all those partners that were, there. We concluded New York, even with all the busy activities and the engagement. We're now in Washington, D.C., where for the first time, His Excellency is calling Liberians together for the Diaspora Conference, first one. The Liberian diaspora is quite a huge number. Someone estimated it earlier today as 500,000, but others have estimated even a little more of that. So one of the ways in which this will be able to have a strategic, concrete number will be these kinds of engagements, to know where we are, conduct some form of census, to be able to strategically say where your Liberian people are. So this year, prior to now, the president did announce that he will do this, conference, engaging the diaspora, not just on the conference part. The president established an office at the Executive Mansion responsible specifically for diaspora affairs. And that office has been charged with the authorization to engage the community, bring people together to talk about, what's going on, but strategically bring Liberians, show Liberians what is happening in Liberia and how they can be key partners and support and contribute to some of the things that the country is doing. And this diaspora conference have been wonderful. And as you listen to the president, he spoke today, he spoke extemporaneously, highlighting some of the key issues and encouraging Liberians to come back home, to not only just send resources to their families and relatives, but to also see that they are able to contribute meaningfully to what's happening in Liberia. They should be able to come back home, work with the community, work with the government. The government is open. Government is looking forward to their expertise. Government is looking forward to their services. Government is looking forward to doing a lot. And the Liberian diaspora can really do well in doing that. So his hope and aspiration is that it is not just going to be the conference. It's not just going to be ending here. It's not just going to be the meet and greet. He really wants to see how all of the impact, all of the activities, all of the work that will be happening during the course of these few days, the network will have lasting impact in Liberia. People will want to come back home to build businesses, to support, to contribute, to bring their expertise. And those are things he wants to do. He wants Liberians to know and to see and to come back to Liberia to do that. Also, he will be calling again Liberians to come at a town hall because the conference started today. He spoke at the opening. Currently, it's ongoing. The different sections are happening. And then there will be tomorrow, the conference will happen. And then on Sunday, there will be the town hall that he normally has, that he engages Liberians. They ask questions. They talk about some of the issues. And the important part this year have actually been a very important year. Coming up from his meeting in Washington with President Trump, continuing with the energy that came with the 26th celebration, coming and bringing the diaspora together and doing a lot more for our country. So he's really looking forward to us sustaining the momentum and having lasting impact. That Liberians in the Liberian diaspora, in the United States of America, in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, in every part of the world, can see Liberia as home and can connect with Liberia and can do what they want to do. So your president, His Excellency, is upbeat. He's happy. He was very, very excited today. And if you were here, I'm sure you saw what happened, how the house was really energetic when he spoke. He spoke very lengthily, but more so the hope that he is looking forward for our country and what he wants to do for this great nation with the help of the Liberian diaspora. So that's the update. We'll keep you posted. We'll bring you more update as he's here, his engagement, the conference that's ongoing, but more so also with the town hall engagement. But we're here with some of our journalists, and you can, follow through. They'll be asking. I will take questions. Should you have questions to ask? Also, should you have comments online that you want us to engage with you, we look forward to answering your question. But yes, we're happy to be here. We're happy to give you updates on what's happening here with the president and his activities in the United States of America. Thank you very much, and good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever time you are, however you're listening. Here we are, it's around 4:33 p.m., but I know it's past 8 p.m. in Monrovia. I'm sure it's around 8:33 p.m. In Monrovia. We look forward to engaging with you all more, and thank you, and good evening to all of you.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Press Secretary. Thank you for the lengthy update. A concern raised by diaspora Liberians when it comes to establishing consulate, like in Canada, in other countries, in some parts of Europe. The president was also in attendance. He listened to that. Any message? What could be the response from that?
Absolutely, absolutely. The president did listen to the Liberians who expressed their need to open consulate in Europe, consulate in Canada, consulate even in Australia, because they're Liberians. Because when the president talked about the Liberian diaspora, he's talking about Liberians all over the world, not just the United States diaspora. And those are concerns of Liberians in those other diaspora communities. And this is something that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and team will take into advancement and brief the president and see the feasibility and see what's possible to be done. So it's important that, because it's a key issue they raise, and of course the president, as a listening president, will let the minister do all of the work necessary and brief him as to what are the feasibility and what is intent to do on that.
He also flagged the issue of security. This particular issue drew the attention of the president. They spoke about that when they went back to Liberia, they returned, and they are flagging the issue of security.
Again, security is a concern for all Liberians. And those of us who live in Liberia will understand how important security is. But Liberia is one of the most peaceful countries in the world as we speak. And definitely, security is something that the president and all members of the security team that are working on daily. The president receives regular briefing as to the current security status of the country. And it's something that's a work in progress, Liberia, you can go to bed safely. The issues of the past is not there like that. But it's something that the government is working on, and security is key for everyone. It's not just even for Liberians in the diaspora, but also Liberians at home. Liberians at home actually need security as well. So once the country is safe for everyone, diaspora Liberians and Liberians at home, they'll all work together for moving the country forward. So security is something that the government is working on.
Personally, you were in attendance at the opening section. You listened to the doctor from Rwanda sharing their story and where they are now. What did you take from there and working in Liberia also learn from us?
I think it was a powerful message, but more importantly, it was a powerful reminder that what we as Liberians need to do, especially as a country coming from a period of conflict for 14 years, and Rwanda has its own, share of experiences as to what happened. Theirs was basically an ethnic conflict. Ours was more political because it cut across many facets it was economic, it was political, it was ethnic, it was religious, and all of that. Because during our wars, people turn on other people because of how they look or what the backgrounds are, the religions, and all of that. So for us, there are lots of lessons that can be called from the Rwandan experience and how we can do. And he was very simple in explaining what they did as a country. And we can adapt some of those things. And these are things the president is also working on. For example, he talked about the memorialization. And our president said this, in fact, he started a process of reburying former presidents, former leaders who passed away, who served the country, and they died, during the course of the war. So there was a whole process of, exhuming their bodies and reburying them to give their families closure so they can go home at times and say, let me go and, clean my grandfather's grave, my great-grandfather's grave, and to just have a country recognize their success and effort that they did for their country. There's also this process of memorialization. The president did talk about setting up a memorial committee that will really start a whole process of remembering our past. These are things we have to do on the social side, while at the same time talking about the issues of corruption, security, and all issues that will culminate into what is required or needed for the country to move forward. But that's something that he's doing, that's something that he's moving forward, and it's something that will work in the interest of Liberia.
All right. From my side, the president left Liberia on the 8th of this month, and he has stayed here for some time now. I think since he became president, this is the very first time to stay away from the country for this long. So Liberia are concerned as to what tangible did he get from the president visit in the US?
When we talked about the president's travel to come to the United States of America, we outlined his engagement in the United States, the different key meetings he's been having, who he's been talking with, and all of these things are all in the interest of taking, the results back to the country. So the president's visit, his engagements, the meetings he's had, the people he's talked with. In fact, he's had more meetings with key business leaders, people who are interested in investing in Liberia, people who are interested in particular in specific sectors, to say, Mr. President, we're doing X, Y, Z, and we want you to we want to engage with you and let you know what's going on. So yes, his coming here was very timely. His coming was important to be a part of this. In his early visit, if that's where the concern is, his early coming, he had several other meetings outlined. As I mentioned earlier, that because of Liberia's appointment to the United Nations Security Council as a non-permanent member, actually Liberia is expected to take her seat next year. So by taking that seat next year, there needs to be a lot of preparatory meetings. There needs to be support for Liberia, engaging partners who are interested in supporting Liberia, but also people who have served the UN Security Council seat to share their experiences as well. So all of those, and as you saw, he had a meeting with, he engaged the family of our late minister, the minister, of state, the late Sylvester Graceby. That was because he couldn't come to the funeral. He had just traveled from Japan, and so he had to come early to meet the family and also engage others, all in the interest of Liberia. So talking about tangible, it's not like when you come to the United Nations General Assembly, you expect to grab a bag of money or bag of things to just carry to Liberia. The engagements you do, the meetings you have, the people you speak with, the contact you
visit, working for the Liberian people, there was a sad news back then that has attacked the former president. Is this issue reached him? Is he aware? If so, what is he saying? What has been?
Oh yes, the president was briefed as to the status of not just the arson situation or the alleged issue of fire outbreak at the home of former President Weah, but there was also a similar situation at the home of the National Security, the NSA director. So definitely he's been briefed as to the status of those. And one thing he's done is to allow his technical people to do a review, to produce the report as to what happened, because he doesn't need speculation. So yes, he was briefed, and his people are working to do the investigation, and they will give him the final findings as to the cause of those fires, and where necessary action needs to be taken, he's definitely going to take those actions.
So finally, from our end, before leaving the country, the president took a good decision that Liberians praised him about reduction of commodity, of major commodity price and other things. If people caught in violation of this mandate, some actions were to be taken. Did he receive any news of that? Is the issue making impact also?
Absolutely, it's making serious impact. People are buying rice at a very low cost in many places, and even the pricing of rice have even gone further down. There are places where they were buying rice at 2,600 as we speak. Others have reported that they're buying rice at 2,400 as the rate that the president announced. But one thing I wanted to say, or to let you all know, is that the committee that was working on the pricing structure is still working. The committee is still active. So the committee work is not done, and it's not just on rice and eggs and then flour, is on other commodities as well. So the committee is active, is working, and the committee normally briefs the president as to the inroad they've made in the sector. So yes, they're working really hard. And the plans for further reduction in the pricing of those commodities on the market as well.
At the end of this, course of this, the president will receive from them before this.
Well, the president hopes that this will not be the first engagement. The president knows that this will not be the last. It's not just going to be the only. That's why you see it says the Liberian Annual Diaspora Conference. The plan is to have it every year. And the president is looking forward to even making it bigger. Maybe the next time it may be in the African diaspora. Maybe you would say, okay, let's take this conference to Ghana, for example, where Liberians are there, or Nigeria, for example, or even in Europe, or even in Asia, you know. So the goal is to attract Liberians to come back home. But besides just attracting Liberians, to attract Liberians partners and people who are interested in Liberia, friends of Liberia, to come home, to come to Liberia, to establish in Liberia, to build businesses in Liberia. Because and improve the private sector. With the improvement of the private sector, you have jobs being created. You have, people, working really, really, really hard. And then once people get jobs, people put food on the table, they're able to construct, different businesses as well. They're able to do more for their communities. And that's how our country will develop, and it will be, on par with other countries in the world. Well, I want to also thank everyone who have contributed in the success of this diaspora conference, beginning with the Office of Diaspora Affairs, Mr. Erasmus Williams. Thank you. Such a great job. The president is excited of what you all have been able to do together. Dr. Edmund Dunn, Reverend Dunn, we want to thank you and your team for what you have done. It only get better from here, that I will say. To do anything for the first time, it can be challenging, or not what they can say, but at least you've been able to bring Liberians from all parts of the United States and other parts of the world. We told that some people are still flying in to come. So thank you all for the hard work you've put into this. Everyone who've contributed, the government, because government of Liberia did a significant contribution to this process, because the diaspora conference is not just to come and talk. It has a lot of different behind the scene, activities happening, hotels, food, and all these different logistics that needed to put this and make it better. So thank you all to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Finance, Development Planning, the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs, and everyone. The president wants to express his gratitude to everyone for this. See you all when we see you, hopefully tomorrow and over the weekend at the next event. But thank you. We'll keep you posted and keep you updated of what's happening in diaspora. Thank you and good evening.
Presidential Press Secretary Madam Kula again, Fofana. They're speaking to newsmen here at the Diaspora Annual Conference. Thank you for the update. Have a good evening. Good night.